Hello and Merry Christmas, my Family Forward Project friends. It is December the 24th here in Tennessee. It's about 60 degrees out. I've got just a little bit of daylight and I wanted to do a little bit of a recap, wish you a Merry Christmas, talk a little bit about the end of the year, what we've done this year and what I'm thinking about in the year to come. It's going to be a real important year, 2020 coming up. Just the number alone makes you think that it is going to be a special year. So we all, at the end of the year, I always like to ponder. One of the things I ask myself, instead of doing New Year's resolutions for the new year, I always say to myself, so what happened in 2019 that I really did not anticipate would happen? Oh my gosh, there's a lot. And we've had a lot of members that have had some real challenges. And it's been very difficult. I've had a lot of pressures from briefs and things that I've had to do. A lot of family drama as well. So, but nevertheless, we keep going, we keep going, we keep going. Okay, I'm just tagging a few people in here. I didn't do an announcement today. So I just wasn't sure if I was going to get my Christmas in order before I had time to stop, but I got everything done and finished up some things at my office, and so I just wanted to go ahead and wish you all a Merry Christmas and just give you some thoughts on my mind. Okay, just a couple more here. You would pass it around, that would be great. Okay. All right, so December 24th, 2019, a couple things I'm going to tell you that have been remarkable for this year. One of them is that I have uploaded my lives when I can. The technology differs depending on what I'm using, whether I'm using a computer or my iPhone, but my iPhone allows me to download the lives immediately after we do them, and then I can upload them to YouTube, as well as sharing them on Facebook. And what this has done is this has set it in front of a whole new audience, because I tag it CPS Corruption, DCS Tennessee, DCS Corruption, etc. And I see somebody walking up behind me.
Would you like some Girl Scouts?
No, thanks.
Okay. Sorry.
That's okay. So I have downloaded those videos and put them on YouTube. And what this has done is opened up a new audience. I've had several people come to me, especially in the last 3 or 4 months, and say that they found us on YouTube. Not that they found us on Facebook, but they found us on YouTube. So I always put in the YouTube videos in the narratives to join us on Facebook, Family Forward Project, and several people have. So that has really helped get just our general conversation out there. Other things that are important for this year is, in 2018, we had the Families First Prevention Services Act pass in Congress, and then nobody enacted it. The states didn't use it. And so this year in 2019, we had a couple bills that came up called the Families First Transition and Support Act, which basically was to give the states more money, and the states always like more money, but they had to use it for the implementation of the Families First Act. So I follow these things all the time. I follow it through the government sites, ACF sites. I'm on a listserv for attorneys who do parent representation throughout the United States. I follow what they're doing in their state. So this year, at the end of the year, excuse me, I have put together the Families First Act of Tennessee, and I've shared it with Representative Terry Weaver, and I've asked for her to sponsor it. I've shared it with some other reps, and I am hoping to get it there. And basically it puts the families first. It's for services prior to removal, and which of course technically they're supposed to be doing anyway, but they don't get funding for it, so therefore they don't really do it. They don't promote it. So that's and that bill excuse me, there are two different bills. I've been up to DC twice. I went up there in September and I went up again in November, I believe. And so we walk around, we ask people to vote for it. We finally met some of the policymakers. So that's a real important part of just our grassroots, beat the pavement efforts are in DC. This year, I really need you to look at your states. I really want you to look at your state legislatures. Go to in Tennessee, it's called the General Assembly. You can go to the General Assembly, you can look at the committees, go to the committees and open up the committees in your house. Every state, I think, except one, which is Nebraska, has a bicameral legislature in the state. Nebraska has a unicameral system, which means they just have one house. But every other state has some kind of house, some kind of house and some kind of Senate. And so the bills are to originate in the House, but they also need a Senate sponsor. So you need to look at your committees. And you also need to look at representatives who might seem to have a sympathetic ear towards children in welfare. Look up, hey Rosie, hey Deanna, look up your state under the Casey Foundation and find out where your state ranks. Look up your state under the maltreatment report for the annual maltreatment report. Our state, the Casey Foundation, this is like almost embarrassing to talk about, but the Casey Foundation reported that Tennessee was 36 out of 50. Okay, so I mean, we're not even in the top half here, and we're a conservative Christian state, okay, generally speaking. So we are 36 in the country for child well-being, and it measures everything from children in poverty to children born out of wedlock, children entering foster care. 36. Okay, so look up your state, know where you are. The Maltreatment Act comes from the federal government. And every year they do a report, and it gives the reports of why children are entering foster care. Hey, Nikki. Hey, Tracy, Rosie, Marianne. Good to see you guys. Thanks, and Merry Christmas to you. I hate to be a Christmas buster. I hope you all don't mind just sharing a little time with me. So look up your state. Let's really look at what our states are, because now we've got an instrument in the federal government. We've also got the instrument in the federal government for parent representation support from the federal government. I have outlined, I've been looking for some program format to be able to do an online class. And so I'm experimenting around with a couple. This is very tedious and very time consuming to do this. So I found one that I'm looking at. I'm not even going to tell you where it is yet because I don't want you to go there yet. But I have outlined a program for parents who are entering into the child welfare system. And I've outlined the topics for the first 10 classes. I'm going to make them basically I'm going to try to keep them very short, 12 to 15 minutes. But there are topics like the language of child welfare, so that people know what it means to have a child and family team meeting, so they know what dependency and neglect means, so they know what a guardian ad litem is, so that, thank you, Deanna. Rosie, well, you'll be back in a bit, or you can catch up. But anyway, so that's one of the topics. Another topic is documentation from very day one. Another one is what happens when you walk in the courtroom. Another one is what is your first agency meeting like. I mean, I'm hearing the same stories over and over and over, and you all know this, and we keep talking about it, and we've got to bust the ceiling here, because they are lying, they are incompetent. Okay, it's just terrible. I mean, it's horrible, and our children are suffering. And those of us who see it around us, I mean, you cannot believe how I protect my grandkids from, DCS. I am like a warrior, okay, against them even coming near my grandkids. So I have that little program outlined. I have to tell you this, I had an advocacy program outlined, and while I was at downtown Nashville juvenile court one day, some hoodlum ransacked my car and stole my computer, and so my outline for my advocacy program was on that computer. So, oh my gosh, I'm so upset, and from now on, I am going to use Google Drive or Dropbox, but I've found that Google Drive is going to be really effective, so I can start creating it in Google Drive. It saves automatically. I can use it from any computer. So I've learned my lesson. Everything will be on some type of an online program. So, but I've got a new computer, got back in the groove. So I am still working on that. So 2020, just 2020, just the word alone has kind of a magical tone to it, guys. It's like 2020. I don't know. We've never had that in our country. I guess we had we've never had it. 1976. We didn't even have 1919. 2020, this is going to be a magical year. It's just going to be magical. So much is going to happen. So I need you all to really, I know it's so frustrating, and I know people are going, oh my gosh, Connie, how long have you been working on this and you're not getting anything done? It is like you have to eat an elephant one bite at a time, guys. And just the fact that we have a Facebook group that the agency stalks, that we have parents going to court and the judges are like, you're on Facebook and you're talking bad about us. That alone, that they know we're talking and we're not being quiet, is so important. And I am so happy and so thankful for all of the people that share their whole story under the Family Forward Project. I sit and I read those, and thank you. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be ashamed. Just share your story. Type it out, because I read those, because those themes are so important. So I've seen several people post like, okay, we need to get the states organized. Well, I agree. And I have set up Family Forward projects for probably about 14 states. If you just check and see, type in Family Forward Arkansas, Family Forward Minnesota, whatever, see if I have one. If I don't have one, then just let me know and I'll get it created, because I do need you on a state level to be looking at your legislators. I've been contacting people, a lot of things that I'm doing that you don't even see on Facebook. Several people I've contacted directly. I've got Lorena in Texas, Michelle in Massachusetts. There's still Marines in Connecticut. There's still so much going on that we really just can't get every single thing put up there. So just keep trucking along. I did do a whole presentation on laws that need to be changed, and I went and I spoke to Representative Weaver and Senator Pody, and they were just like totally overwhelmed. So I do have the Family First Act. I did upload that for you guys. Okay, so it's uploaded. It has some attached exhibits. Some of the important things that I've attached. There's a national organization called ALEC, Association of Legislator Executive Council, something like that. It's the conservative national organization for legislators, and they make recommendations for laws, and they have two recommendations that fall into the families first. One of them is a relative search, and one of them is family stability. So I've attached those to the copy that I've uploaded of the Family First Act. So please take a look at that. And I also uploaded a general intake form. Now, a lot of people want to try to maybe just hire me for a consult or a short amount of time. And, I don't want to spend a whole hour talking about the names of your kids and their dates of birth. I really want to kind of try to find out where you are in the case. And I know people don't understand the legal aspect of it. And I know the law. I'm an attorney. I know the law. I know procedure. And I look at what they do in juvenile court, and they don't even enter orders. They have people show up for court every month or 6 weeks. People don't even know why they're going to court. And that's going to be part of my training, so that people will ask, what is this court hearing about? And sometimes the judges are like, just the attorneys only. And I'm going to say in my training, like, no. Families United Rally, Texas, as we speak. Oh, Adolfo, thank you. Okay, let me look at February the 7th. I really wanted to come to California in October, but I had California and Alabama back to back. So, and I'm looking at March 27th, somewhere around there, the last week of March, that I want to do something with Tennessee families. So, yeah, we need to rally, but we need to be in the legislative halls, you guys. You need to be in there. We need a flyer. We need a pamphlet. We need to be knocking on their door. Hey, how are you? I want to hand you this. I want you to know that, and when I did my speech last year in front of the legislature, I was like, there is not a road that's more important. There's not a tax. There's not a gas tax. There's not an alcohol tax that's more important. There's not naming a tree, putting a road down, a sales tax consideration that's more important than our children and families. So, yeah, Deanna, I would love to meet you, and thank you. Thank you for being such a continuing warrior. So, also this year, let's talk a little bit more about 2019 in overview. So, I did file 2 federal lawsuits this year. The federal civil rights cases are so hard. So hard. Deanna knows all about that. They are so difficult. You have immunity issues. You have... oh my gosh, it's just crazy. So everybody knows Wendy Hancock by now. We've done several live videos, and so she has a federal lawsuit pending, and I've sued like 14 people. I do not like to have that many defendants because it means I'll have a ton of people on the other, ton of attorneys doing a face-off with, but sometimes they just all screw up, and it's just like dominoes. It's like the first one screws up, and then they the next person tries to cover up for it, and they can't cover up for it, so there's another screw up, and then it gets now they've created such a muck-a-mire that the guardian ad litem's coercing witnesses, and it goes on and on and on. I mean, it goes to the judge. I mean, just everything. So when you have during a break and you find out that people are laughing at you during break and making fun of you and making fun of your client during the break, that's just uncalled for, and it's unprofessional. I'm going to share with you, some judges, and a lot of times if there's a case going on, I don't want to hurt the client. I won't say anything. So I'm not going to say anything in particular about the specific client or their case, but I'm just going to tell you a story about an evidence story so you see what I have to deal with in the courtroom. So last week I had a trial, and in the trial, my client was on the stand, and I had asked a lot of questions, got no objections. I mean, there were 4 attorneys on the other side of me, right? Me, Connie to 4. Okay, that's not bad, because on Monday it was Connie to 7. Okay, so lots of attorneys on the other side. Yeah, I would love to fix Ohio too. Thank you so much. So Connie to 4. I'm asking lots of questions. I'm just getting all these kinds of answers, and after a while, the judge stops and he looks around at the attorneys. And he says, in the last 15 minutes, she has asked how the children felt. She has solicited hearsay. She has, let her client. And y'all just sit there. And I'm like, they're the attorneys, not the judge. The attorneys are the ones who are supposed to make objections. So we picked back up. I didn't say that. I just let it roll off me. Of course, I don't say half the things I would like to say in the courtroom, right? I do zip my mouth once in a while. So then we go on, and my client couldn't remember a date on when something happened. And I was just going to kind of direct her to that date because it was already in the record. And if something's already in the record, it's just really considered judicial economy to refresh your client with that information, unless it's something critical. And so the date was already in the record, and then she couldn't remember it. And I said, would you like to refresh your recollection? And she said, yes. And so I said, could you please pass her Exhibit 3? And so the DCS attorney, who's not said 6 words in 2 days, probably, she stands up and she goes, I object, Judge. That's not how you refresh recollection. You have to ask her if she knows, and then you have to ask her if something would refresh her recollection, and then you have to show her the document, have her identify what it is, and then she has to look at it, and then she has to put it down, and then she has to testify. I said, Judge, I'm not asking her to look at something in my box on the floor. I'm asking you to pass her an exhibit that's already in the record. The DCS attorney sat down and shut up and didn't say anything else for the rest of the day. That's what I deal with. That's what I deal with. So, and, and there's a couple other examples. So there was a report. In this report, on day one, the other attorney tried to refer to this report. It was not in the record, and I objected. And the judge was like, I'm going to let it in. Oh, good Lord, whatever. I mean, it wasn't in evidence, but I just okay. And so on day two, when it was my turn, I took 3 whole paragraphs from that report and read them into the record because they were so damning to the other side. And the other attorney's like, I object, I object, I object. And I'm like, Judge, yesterday I objected to this same report and you let it in. And he's like, oh yeah, I guess I did. Is there a question? So anyway, yeah, so they all stalk us, and they'll be watching this, and somebody will be scolding me, but I'm not telling any of the details of the case. I'm not telling you the children. I'm not telling you what the children's names. I'm not telling you any of the allegations. I'm just educating you on what kind of procedures and what kind of shenanigans go on in these courtrooms all day long. Yeah, and it even started, the whole case started with, we walked in the courtroom and I'm the out-of-towner and everybody else is from the local community. So whenever you're the out-of-towner, you just have to wear a shield of armor because they're just going to be spitting poison darts at you from the time you walk in the door. The deputies are usually pretty nice, but they talk behind your back, so you really can't trust them either. So we start out and we walk in the courtroom and the judge is scolding me. He's like, this order that you filed and nobody signed it but you. And I'm like, not my order, Judge. Not my order. That's not me. And it was his buddy, the other attorney, who did it. So filed the order. So anyway, that's what I have to deal with. Very exhausting. That's why I have to be on my toes. That's why I have to pay attention to everything that's going on every second. All right, so 2019, what else? So just wrapping up. Trips to D.C., Family First Act on the state level we need to look at. We need to start getting these legislatures to pay attention. You got to start pushing your agencies. I really want you to file complaints directly with the agencies in your state. I've been doing that, and I write up a complaint and I send it in. I detail what are the issues, so what kind of issues. I'm not sure, Deanna. I may go in January. Thank you. Message me on that. I would love for you to go. So, what was I saying? I just get distracted here looking at your messages. But we are going to let's get some more state meetings together. But when we do it, make sure that we talk to legislators. Okay, make sure we have legislators. If we have to go by their offices, if we have to do it during the day. Okay, so anyway, time and money. I have put a lot of time and a lot of money into traveling, taking days off from work, going, Airbnb so people can stay in them. And so I'm going to need to, and I've been very blessed this year. God has blessed me. It's just, I've been able to keep everything going at a steady pace with all of that in hand, but it does take a lot of time and energy. So I'm just looking at some ways that our Family Forward Project group can really kind of help support that. So just keep watching for that. And just a little bit of support in various ways. Our Family Forward Foundation is a 501c3. We've done a couple fundraisers with that, and I really appreciate you helping out with that because we have worked really hard on getting our travel costs down. So, I've taken some pretty cheap airlines. If you don't know who Spirit Airlines is, they are like the stagecoach of airlines. I'm just going to tell you, they have some pretty cheap flights, but then I have to fly in Baltimore, and it's a little bit of a hike down to D.C. We've shared Airbnbs that sleep up to 8 or 10 people. I've slept in a pod in DC, so, which is pretty rough for me, but a lot of challenges. But yes, Aldolfo, I'd be happy to mentor you. I would love to mentor you. I would love a half a dozen advocates this year that we can really mentor and get going. Okay, let's just make that one of our goals. So keep an eye out for that. I'm an entrepreneur at heart, so I have several things on my mind. And like I said, I've been able to, and let me tell you a little bit about a federal lawsuit. And I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I don't have any notes or anything here today. But a federal lawsuit is very, 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 very difficult. I have several people that want me to file federal lawsuits. It's very expensive, very time consuming, and very hard because they are on a contingent basis. You just cannot charge somebody for all the time that goes into those. A lot of players have immunity. Oh, good, Deanna. Great. Yeah, you guys need to send me a private message and I will get you guys in a Zoom meeting. That's what we'll do. We'll get a Zoom meeting up. So these federal lawsuits, everybody has immunity, and so you have to get around that. You have to sue people individually, and so it's just really a challenge. I have one right now that includes a judge, and the reason judges have immunity, and the only way I could include him was that I said he acted without jurisdiction because the DCS worker skipped over to the next county and got an ex parte order signed. So all right. So anyway, all right. So I'm going to wind this up because I don't like these to be very long, because if they're over about 25 minutes, I can't upload them to YouTube. Again, I will post to YouTube to join us on the Family Forward Project and try to just buzz through what I uploaded today, the files, just take a quick glance at them. You don't really have to study them. And then a pod. Yeah, I'll have to show you a picture of the pod. Adolfo is pretty hilarious. So I'm going to say Merry Christmas to you all. I miss seeing you more. I had a really, really, really rough last quarter. So, but I'm in it. I'm in it to win it, and we're going to do this. Love you all. Please have a Merry Christmas. I am so sorry for all of those who are going to have pain and sorrow and emptiness this Christmas. I am so sorry for you. Honestly, I'm just going to tell you, your grief inspires me. I know that's a weird thing to say, but your grief keeps me going because it's horrible. All right, I love you. I'm going to say goodnight, say goodbye. Y'all go have some eggnog or something, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks, bye.